Hello everybody and welcome to Games v Reality. It's a big week of news this week. Sony is pulling out of PSVR. Also, Sony is making moves in virtual reality.
I'm confused.
Yeah, they've just announced a new VR headset made for creatives. It has a stylus and ring controller setup, which apparently is just fine. Also unveiled this week, Logitech announced the first Quest 3 compatible third-party controller. It's a stylus pen. It's designed for artists to create 3D art.
I can draw dicks in 3D.
You do that anyway, but you can do it with more detail than ever.
Wow.
We also have a new VR competitor. Somnium VR1 is a new headset being released very soon. Pre-sales are already opened. And it is ridiculously customizable. It's got eye tracking. It's got everything. We're going to talk about it.
I'm so excited.
Plus, we're talking bat attacks in VR, and we have a Blade and Sorcery review. Shall we get started?
Let's go. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm at Victor Grey on all the socials. With me, as always, is
Lord Beardsteak.
Yeah, that'll do. If you want to skip to anything, if you find a story interesting, just check in the time codes down in the description. There's links to all the articles that I get this information from. We have a bunch to talk about, as well as all those other things. We're also talking about sales figures for PlayStation and PSVR and Meta. We're going to have a look at player numbers for ValeVR, a pretty popular first-person shooter. Apple cancelling development on the Apple Vision Pro 2 in order to make a cheaper Apple Vision something.
Cool.
Also, we're talking about the new Meta update. It's got a cool little media control button that I had to wait like 2 weeks to use. But it turns out Meta released a website that lets me just update my headset manually.
Oh, that's
We're going to
awesome.
talk about that. Also, you want to talk about Blades and Sorcery?
I want to talk about games.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to talk about games. It's going to be fantastic.
Cool. Also, what I'm doing in VR and what you're doing in VR. I bought a new HEadstrap from the Quest 3.
Nice. Straps are great.
And you finished all of the Resident Evils.
I did. I finished all of them, I think. Nope, not 7. Most of them.
Do you want to review Blade and Sorcery?
Yeah.
Yeah!
I do.
So Blade and Sorcery went 1.0 maybe a week and a half ago now.
I did, yes.
You reloaded the game. You played it when it first came out. It had that charming jank. You played a lot of Star Wars mod.
Yep.
But now that it's 1.0, you've done something you've never done before. You've played it unmodded.
Yes, that's correct. I've played the vanilla game.
What's your review? Tell me about it.
It is absolutely a complete standalone game at this point. There's just so much going on that I did not expect.
Wow.
And so their Crystal Hunt game mode, which is their main single player game, it's just a way of unlocking all the different powers that you can use.
Yep.
And you
So it's like generated dungeons?
That's right, yeah. They're procedurally generated dungeons that once you run through, you get like essentially currency that you can then spend on a crystal at the very end. I think they've built them in a way where you could probably do this without using any magic powers at all.
Yeah.
And the way that this game iterates upon the powers, it's not like they kind of instruct you on how they work. You discover it. Every time something new happens, it feels like a discovery. It doesn't feel like something that's like, I don't know, pathed for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not holding my hand. It's not coming up with a bunch of pop-up menus that say, hey, did you know that you could use it in this way? And so, yeah, fantastic experience.
Well, and how different were the dungeons aesthetically? Did they look different, or were they all just shaped different?
It feels like there's like 40 extra procedural dungeon set pieces now that like swap in and out, and some of them are at different levels of rarity. Okay. So I've now been playing the game since this update. I'm going to say upwards of 10, 15 hours.
Yep.
And I don't think I've seen all of the bits, all of the chunks.
Right.
And some of them you just come into, and it's like this amazing, like huge cavern that almost looks like a sandbox in itself. This looks like a AAA experience to me.
Yeah, I think last week you appreciated that it was going 1.0, but it really sounds like this week you're like, oh no, they've gone 1.0.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I feel like I somewhat doubted how much extra stuff they were going to put into this, only because I'd relied so much on mods in the past. But it's exceeded all of my expectations in that regard.
I do have one question. In the reviews and everything, that I see a boss battle with a big rock guy.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have to climb onto him to smash the things,
Yes.
but he's moving around and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how trippy that is to be on something that's moving around. What was that like?
It's a little disorienting, and I've got pretty strong VR legs. Like I haven't felt any nausea playing it, but this is Boneworks level of like trusting that you're okay with VR.
Yeah.
So yeah, like your horizon will move. Like it will rotate as you're like on this guy's arm and stuff like that. Yeah. So like if you don't have strong VR legs, it might be a a damaging experience.
Is there any way to defeat that rock monster with arrow, like not jumping on it?
There are totally ways, and so like I guess I always jump on him and like grab on and like start hitting away. But like you could totally use like projectiles to smash the crystals and stuff.
I've done the boss battles for Asgard's Wrath too,
Yep.
and it feels like a video game boss battle. It's like satisfying and it's big and it's cool.
Yep.
What did it feel like?
It's great because the scale plays a huge aspect for this boss, because he's like standing over the top of you. You're like in 3D, he looks huge. And like I got to do that thing that I've seen in movies a bunch, where you run through the legs of the guy and then come around the other side and then like start hacking away.
Legolas these legs.
Yes, that's right. And honestly, you can kind of do all like the wacky slidey stuff that Legolas does as well. I was trying to balance on top of him as he's like trying to hit me and all this kind of stuff. Whenever people mod this version of the game, it's going to have so many more features than the previous versions of the mods. Like, I can't wait for this thing to be like a ST or something like that. Yeah, totally, a Rancor.
That'd be cool.
Totally. So, They haven't released the SDK yet for the modding for it. So, like, that'll give everyone the tools to be able to manipulate these new features.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. How do you rate it?
I spent more hours in the game than reality. So,
so the game won.
The game won this week. Yeah.
All right, cool. If you want to hear Beardy's full thoughts on Blade and Sorcery, we've got the full review up on our YouTube channel, so check that out. Do you remember the first story?
I don't. Please tell me.
Me neither. Now I do. Sony has announced a new VR headset.
Great. Awesome. Wait, Sony or PlayStation?
Sony has released a new VR headset.
Okay.
Yeah, so not to be confused with PlayStation, who is owned by Sony, who have the PSVR 2. But no, this is a new headset by Sony. I don't think it has a name yet, but it's a standalone headset designed for creators. It's got this weird... Have you seen the design of the little hand thing? So you put a ring on one finger.
Okay.
And then it's got a weird stylus thing that goes around your finger on the other finger. And it's kind of like 3D design, pinching and turning and stuff.
And does it have hand tracking? Do you know?
That's the tracking.
So these are controllers. So there's no hand tracking like the Quest or anything
not really.
like that.
The ring is designed to detect clicks, and then the other one's kind of like a stylus, and it's for like molding and drawing. I
see. So it's like a creator kind of tool, like a headset kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, this is the headline from uploadvr.com. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, I do.
First impression: Sony's standalone headset for creative disappoints.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have to put the disappointment in this week. It's already built into the title.
Built into the title. Apparently, the trackers are they're not quite there yet. Interesting idea, but it's not quite working.
Sure.
So it just like... Because with creative things, you want to be quite precise.
Totally.
And these just weren't doing it yet.
That sucks.
Also, the field of view was quite narrow. It's one of those ones that sits off the head.
Okay.
So you can see out.
You got like a lot of light bleed going on.
But apparently it was... First impressions weren't great. I'm still excited to see what this is. I'd like more like standalone.
This
VR
is a
headsets.
prototype as well, right? So they've got time to improve. Like it's not like this is what's going to ship.
Well, it looks pretty close to finish.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right. This was just at an exhibition. It was at the Augmented World Expo conference in Long Beach.
Yep.
They had demo software connected to PC, showed a workflow for arranging virtual cameras and changing scenes. So these types of tools are for directors or animators who might want to visualize upcoming movies, that kind of thing.
Nice. Animators are poor. I just want to point that out. So what's the price point of this thing, you think?
I don't think there's a price point here, but if I had to guess, it wouldn't be less than $1,500.
Yeah, cool. All right, that's awesome. I just want to ask, do you think that these things are going to have straps that come with them so you don't lose your like really expensive ring things?
I think the first thing I'm going to do is lose the ring, and I won't be able to just get through the opening menu.
Yeah, totally. It'll be like you can't use the bigger one without the smaller one. It's like, well, that's a whole other thing I have to buy.
That's the good thing about a Quest or an Apple Vision Pro. If you forget your controllers, you can still... A lot of the times I'll be on the couch and the controller will be on a table, and I can still navigate.
You can do the finger pointy stuff. Yeah.
But as far as I know, this doesn't have hand tracking.
Sure.
But, hooray.
Cool.
Hey, do you know there's another new VR headset being released?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, you did. I told you before the show.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember the name of it?
Apple Vision Pro 2.
No, it's the Somnium VR 1.
Oh.
Somnium VR 1.
Okay.
I'm reading this from Road to VR.
Memorable name.
So Somnium Space is a Czech-based company. They have a social... a VR social app kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're also releasing a new headset. pre-sales went out on June 20, so
Yep.
you can pre-order now.
Nice. Yep.
And it's shipping in July.
That's cool. I like the turnaround on that. It's not like it's like eventually. It's like next month. It's coming.
July.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, hooray. I did lie to you because there is not one VR headset being released.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
There's
you
no
gotta-
VR headsets
no,
being released.
No, there's more than one VR headset.
Oh,
being released.
okay. Yep. Other lie.
Okay, so Somnium have a few editions of the VR headset.
Uh-huh.
Do you mind if I read them to you?
Yes.
Okay, so you can order these right now if you want. You've got the Somnium VR1 Classic Edition,
Yep.
the Visionary Edition,
Okay.
the Striker Edition, the Titan Edition,
The executive edition,
the Spectre Edition,
the space edition,
and the Ultimate Edition.
the ultimate edition.
Yeah.
Wait. So okay. Yep. I've got all of those.
Also the Translucent Limited Edition.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Huh?
Is that it?
How many more do you want?
I don't know. There's fucking 7 already.
And the Military Edition.
Oh, great. Right. So, okay. But which one's the best one? Is it the ultimate edition?
All right, okay, so these are all different editions, but it's actually it's a really lame way of marketing this. They're just all different customizations. So the Classic Edition is just bare bones.
Okay.
Visionary is eye tracking. Striker is hand tracking.
Oh.
Titan is hand and eye tracking. Spectre has hand tracking and mixed reality.
Yep.
And Ultimate has hand tracking, eye tracking, and mixed reality.
There's like a table that comes with this, right? With like the different checkboxes and what one has what.
I had the website up before. It was confusing.
Okay.
Too.
Okay.
Translucent has mixed reality, eye and hand tracking, and I think it looks cool. Mm-hmm. And then the Military Edition is TAA compliant, whatever that means. I'm assuming it's something to do with the
It's
military.
like you can sell on military bases or something
guess
like that.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, a pretty crazy launch.
Yeah. Interesting strategy. I guess if you just throw it all out there and make them sound cool, then people will buy them.
Yeah. So the Classic Edition starts at $2,060 USD.
That's prohibitively expensive.
That's
for
for
me.
the cheapest version.
Oh wow! So that's the lowest. Wow. Okay.
But they're pretty specced out. QLED mini LED fast LCD screens.
Yep.
2880 by 2880 pixels, 210 nits, and 35 ppd.
Lots of PPs. I want to know if this is going to be a development headset.
And the field of view is horizontal 130.
So it's got like a good wide field of view. Yeah. Well, I'm wondering.
Was that your phone?
No, it
I'm just
wasn't.
checking-
Whose phone was it?
Just checking.
Oh, okay.
No, mine's on silent.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Well, I'm sure the edit will reflect the truth.
Do you know what else was announced this week?
I don't.
You do. I told you before the show.
Well, just tell me anyway.
Logitech announced a stylus pen that's compatible with the Quest.
Nice.
So Quest 2 and 3. It's the first third-party controller that's been released.
Excellent.
So this is a stylus. It's a bit of a chunky boy.
Okay.
And the video just shows people
Using the chunky boy.
yeah, they're
doing stuff with
they're in 3D models and they're circling stuff and writing notes. Or one of them I think you saw was them sketching out over the top of a shoe, a Nike.
Yep.
And then they pick it up and it's in 3D.
wow,
and
yeah.
everybody's like, wow, that's incredible. I can't believe this.
There's
is
heaps
so
of
cool.
drawing applications that are out there where you ribbony looking art in 3D and stuff like that. But that's always been done with like a Vive wand or like a dedicated VR controller. I'm wondering how much more precision this gives you.
I wonder that too. I feel like maybe at the moment we're kind of at the point where you would do 95% of your work on the desktop.
Yep.
Or maybe with a VR headset, but still on the desktop with a mouse. And
Yeah.
you might just do finishing touches.
Here's a concept for you.
virtual reality.
Right?
Yeah.
You've got a blank clipboard in front of you.
All right.
And you've got the stylus.
They have that
and you're
here.
like, "No, this is my concept."
Okay.
And you draw on the clipboard, right?
You've
and
just-
got,
you've
hang on,
invented a
this
piece-
is my.
you've just invented paper.
No. This isn't paper. This is spatial paper. Completely different. So
You have a future in the VR
Hang on, no.
industry, okay.
I got the floor. I got the floor.
Okay.
You're drawing on the clipboard, right? And then the clipboard's not necessary. It's just for you to balance your hand on, right? And then you've got the text, and then you paste that somewhere else, right? The clipboard's just an accessory for you, squishy human, right?
Right. So
But
you've just described what this pen does.
Well, yeah. But this is a use case for me that I can market to you.
Okay. Here's a use case I want.
Okay.
So it's like a regular pen you write with. I want to like just hold it like this and use it as a pointer.
You've just invented a remote.
Yeah, a remote. I want that. I want like a controller like that, but it's just a pen. So I can write on it, but then I can flick it out and I can use it to go on menus and stuff or type on the keyboard. I want it to be like a little... Or if I'm doing a demonstration, I can point behind me and just be like, "Ooh, this is
Like if you look over at this graph.
I feel like that would be a real easy thing to add.
It's going to be the executive pointing at the graph for that previous headset that you just announced, where it's like, this one has all these features and this one has all these features.
I will say this only shows it being used in like programs. I don't know if you could use the pen as a controller just in the Quest 3, like to select things.
Sure. You'd kind of want it to be that way.
You would want it, but hopefully it does. If it had a pointer, I would be like, heck that'd be so cool. Remember when I said Sony has never been more committed to VR by releasing this new VR headset?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. Well, Sony no longer cares about PSVR 2 and they're pulling funding on developer PSVR.
Oh, okay.
So this is really confusing because we're talking about Sony and Sony.
Sure.
So one is Sony the company and one is Sony PlayStation.
One makes the games, the other one makes Venom 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now with feet tracking.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd play that.
Totally.
That'd be cool.
The Venom dance-off game.
This has come from Android Central. Everybody's covered this as well. They say, until now, the PSVR 2 has been pretty darn good. Well over 200 games are currently available, with several impressive releases like Horizon Call of the Mountain, Gran Turismo 7, Resident Evil Village.
Nice.
And RE4 Remake. But sources close to Android Central have revealed that Sony is making deep cuts to funding for VR games.
Yeah.
Their sources said there will be very few opportunities for VR development at Sony going forward. Basically, the things that are in development, I guess they're still continuing. I think there's only 2 things, but there aren't going to be any new PSVR 2
that sucks.
Games being developed.
I remember reading comments on Resident Evil Village when the VR port came out for PSVR, and some people were saying that was the best VR experience that they'd ever had. So maybe there just wasn't enough of those people to justify all that funding. Yeah, rough.
I think the article says there's 2 PSVR 2 games in development, and the top comment on Reddit was, on the positive side, if true, that means there's 2 more games than we expected.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously last week we talked about Astro Bot not going to PSVR 2, even though it's a perfect game for it.
Yeah, totally. I would love to see some statistics behind it, like how much money were they putting into this, like what was the return that they were getting on these projects and stuff. It does sound like it was a pretty niche area. Like, it's like one headset in a market that has all these different kinds of headsets. Some of them are standalone, and then some of them aren't. Like, I can't imagine it would have been selling all that well. Well,
the other thing is they just announced this PC VR to PlayStation VR dongle that lets you use your Sony headset on a PC. It made it way more attractive.
Yeah.
But now it's made way less attractive because, the headset's not being supported in the future.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, it'll be good for second-hand headsets when they hit the market. You can just plug it into your PC. You can use it for something.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
We do have a little sneak peek into the minds of what goes better for developers.
Okay.
PlayStation, PC, and Quest.
Yeah, okay.
So the developer of Stellar Plans VR tweeted out last week. They said they basically wanted to let people know what they're thinking as far as what platforms the game will come out to first and where they're putting their development focus on. They said they were really keen to get it out on PlayStation, but their focus was going to be PC first to develop it, and then Quest, and then PlayStation. And the reason for that is the Quest version of any game will sell 10 times more than a PC VR version. And then the PlayStation version is just a fraction of that.
Interesting.
So if you imagine we sell 100 copies of a game on Quest, we're selling 10 on PC, and then like 2 or 5 on the PlayStation after that.
But they're 2 really happy people.
2 really happy people, yeah.
Yeah, rough.
Yeah. They also said there is also a bit of a barrier when it comes to developing for PlayStation VR because you have to apply to be a developer and then you get sent a dev kit.
Okay.
Where with Quest and for PC, you can just develop the game with the hardware you have
put it into dev mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. If you were hoping PlayStation's not developing these games, well, it's kind of a bit difficult for an indie developer to develop these games too.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of roadblocks that's preventing it from being profitable or easy to develop for.
Yeah. We also have some figures on player data. So ValeVR is a first-person shooter. It came out on PSVR first. It's out on Quest as well. I played it and I really enjoyed it.
They have lots of tournaments, like where you can win big prizes and stuff. I see that that's posted a lot.
Yeah,
So-
but I had a lot of fun with it. The developer of this posted out on Reddit. They said, our game started picking up and we're about 3,000 to 5,000 players a day. And then they did a call out asking if anyone else wants to share their player data. And it's just a graph, and it's just showing the last 90 days of how many people are logging in to play the game. So some of these are repeat players, and some of these might be new players each day.
Sure.
Somebody said how many concurrently, and OP said, we shared all the details on our YouTube. You can go check it out, but about 800 each day concurrent.
Cool. Okay.
So peak concurrent, about 800.
It's plenty of lobbies.
That's pretty healthy. It's,
Yeah.
I think it's 5v5. I can't remember.
It
But that's a lot
sounds
of lobbies.
Yeah, totally.
It's not great for, I guess, PC numbers, if you think about traditional PC games.
Sure.
But that's great for PC VR.
Yeah, totally.
And it's also cross-platform. It's PC and Quest, so...
Yeah, that's
helps.
that's cool. I guess that helps give context to the data that you were reading out for the PlayStation stuff.
So I guess you could say it's not all doom and gloom for the industry.
Not all doom and gloom,
Yeah.
though.
Oh, did I mention Apple is cutting development of the Apple Vision Pro 2?
Sounds suspiciously doom and gloom.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's kind of doom, but not all gloom, because they're cutting development on the Apple Vision Pro 2 to focus on a cheaper Apple Vision Pro.
I want a compilation of all of Tim Cook's announcements week to week about how this is such a great headset. Trust me, guys, it's really good. It's an enterprise headset. So many people are using it. It's also in China. We're cutting funding for the next one, but we're going to make it cheaper this time, guys. I swear to Christ, it's going to be excellent. It's going to be fantastic.
I think they've seen people's reaction. I think they are getting positive feedback, but they're also seeing a bit of drop-off with use for the Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
And the biggest barrier is the price.
Yes.
So they're like, why would we release an Apple Vision Pro 2? I've no doubt it's going to be a fantastic headset, but it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So a lot of reports, I read this on 9 to 5 Mac, a lot of reports are saying instead what they're going to do, focus on basically the exact same headset, the Apple Vision Pro, but slimmed down and made cheaper, and they're going to target the same price as an iPhone, which is about $1,500 US.
Okay. I wonder if they're looking at the MetaQuest 3 at all as a reference point to any extent.
Well, it's two different business models. Apple is creating a business model where it might be a loss leader now, but you can see the structure of how they will make money. Where the Quest 3 is so insanely cheap, they're not there to make money. They're there to get their name out there. So when you think VR, you think Meta. That's the two differences.
That makes sense.
Like iPhone has that iconography, Meta does not have that iconography.
I would totally agree. Because the Quest can be used as an AR headset and a VR headset, or you can watch movies on it, and you can play it on a plane, and you can play it on a train, and it's all these different things, not a very
and
consistent...
they want to be a platform.
Yeah. Interesting. I will say that the first iPhone and the first iPad, I feel like were like proof of concept that you release, and they were very expensive. But if you were to use them today, they were they're not very good.
The first iPhone couldn't copy and paste.
Man, the days.
Could you imagine not being able to, someone sends you their number and you couldn't copy it and paste it?
I don't think you had MMS. They released MMS halfway through iPhone
you might be
3
right.
or something like that. So maybe the AVP 2 will be the start of a really consistent, awesome kind of AR headset.
To have it the same price as an iPhone, I could see them packaging, you buy an iPhone and an AVP at the same time, packaged together on a monthly deal.
Yeah, totally. We also live in a world where a homeless person has an iPhone and a CEO has an iPhone. So are we going to see a world where people are going to have Apple Vision Pro 2s on the street? Man, that's a dystopian world.
Did you hear about the bat attacks in Apple Vision Pro?
No. Bat attacks?
There were bat attacks in Apple Vision Pro.
Organic bats? So we're talking the baseball bat kind of thing.
So there was a security issue with the Apple Vision Pro. This company were like, wait a second, I think there might be a vulnerability here. And they did a test. So there was this old protocol for websites that allowed VR that allows you to create a 3D asset that's in your reality, that after you close the website, the asset stays in your room. Okay. So this company created a website that generated hundreds of digital bats just flying around your room, and then when you close the website, your room's just
turn it off. That's so funny.
The room's just full of bats.
That's great.
These guys did it to show Apple that hey, you might want to fix this.
Man, that's.
But there was this tiny window where you could have theoretically just spammed lots of poop emojis in people's room and just not get rid of
the restraint that they had to use bats. Can you imagine the things that you could just put?
You would not have done it.
No. I would have been using my stylus. I would have been drawing all kinds of stuff. I feel like that would have been.
Yeah.
Can you imagine using that as marketing for like a horror game where you put like a horror character in the room somewhere and then it stays there?
Oh, that'd be
terrifying.
So the game finishes and it's on a timer.
Yeah.
And after 2 days, he just appears.
Yeah, totally. It's like, oh, I think that was a scary game. I'm going to put my headset away for the night, and then you close all your applications, and then.
Yeah. Do you want to see the bats?
Yeah, sure.
That's.
Oh my god, the bees, the bees.
Not my eyes.
Not my eyes. Yeah, that's great.
One feature that I wanted on my Quest was available on other Quests, but I had to wait for it. Was the little media player that pops up now?
Oh, yep.
Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so if you're playing a YouTube video or you've got Spotify open on your
Or
back,
a video from our sponsors, Pornhub.com.
Oh, boy,
you can
no.
always access
could have
your
said our
Pornhub
podcast.
videos. Our podcast.
You could have said our
Pornhub.com,
podcast. Remember
but you
to
can't
rate
see
5
that.
stars.
We don't
and
post
leave a review.
on Pornhub.com, but if you would like to visit that site,
Okay,
click on the link
you've
in the
said it
description.
too many times now.
Sorry, continue. What were you
Okay,
saying?
so if you're playing a YouTube video or you're listening to your favorite podcast, but you're leaving a review and rating 5 stars, if you minimize it in the browser, a little pop-up will come up and it's just a media player bar. It's got play, pause, fast forward, rewind. And it's just underneath your dock. So you can now play things in the background a lot more easily.
Nice.
You've got control now. So now if you're playing a game, you just hit your meta button and it'll pop up with the little media and you can pause it there. And if you click on it, it'll go full screen and you can change whatever you're watching.
Interesting.
The reason I had to wait for it is because when Meta has a new release of their operating system, they stagger the release, so not everyone gets it at the same time. The idea is so they're not overloading themselves with like errors and feedback and all of that kind of thing. But not only do they stagger the release of the update, they stagger the release of the features in the update. So I got the new update, but I didn't have all of the features yet. I had to wait for that to come too.
Interesting.
So I only noticed it yesterday.
Remember that dude that found that little button that was invisible?
Yeah.
That reminds me of that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you were saying you were noticing you mod for whatever that game's
Yeah,
called.
Contractors VR.
Yeah, that one. And you were saying some people were having bugs and other people weren't.
Yeah, Meta pushed an update and all of a sudden half of the Quest user base, native Quest, they couldn't play the game. It was starting to crash. But then there was a whole portion of that user base that just was not experiencing the same crashes.
And that's because they stagger
I guess some of them had the update or the features and some of them didn't.
And like you can look at that 2 ways. One, for you, it made it harder to troubleshoot because you didn't know what the issue was.
Totally.
But on the other hand, half the population could still play the game.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's good. It was just from a
there's pros and
development
cons.
standpoint down the line, it was harder to figure out.
But Meta has released a website you can go to now. You have to do it on PC. You plug your headset in and you can force an update. So as soon as the new update comes, you can load it directly onto your Quest. Cool. That's everything I got.
Actually, you know what? As a tidbit first, I have an update. It's my weekly Steam VR bugs.
Oh, okay. Can I edit this out?
You can totally edit this out. I just want to talk about it so I can get off my chest.
You talk about that and go for it.
Okay. So, I got no fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm as frustrated as you and me and the audience is because we all felt for you for that entire segment.
Yes.
Should we do our next segment, which is what I'm doing in VR? You're doing in VR?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm doing a thing in VR. Do you want to know about my thing in VR?
I think so.
It's this.
The Quest? The Quest 3?
It's this here. I got a new head strap for the Quest 3.
Ah, nice.
I think this is the BoBoVR M3. I think that's what they're calling it, a head strap. So it's a solid plastic head strap with a little clicky thing. Yeah, and it also comes with a battery pack.
Check out that.
At first I was like, I don't know if I like this or not, but I think that's any new thing in VR.
Yes.
Don't you find anything slightly different, you're like, I don't like it.
Well, that's most
But
things.
actually, I really enjoy it. It definitely takes the pressure off your face. Like, it's not pressing on my face at all.
Sure.
In fact, I can flip it up and I can
cool.
How cool do I look right now?
You look really, really cool.
And you can have it down and all of that. And then once you put the battery on it, it's a really good counterweight. So it takes all of the pressure off. It's like a very even amount of pressure on your scalp. I want to maybe buy 2 or 3 of these batteries so I can hot swap them and just have continuous battery because the Quest 3 is not good for battery.
Every single time I try to plug in a battery on my Quest 2, I'm fumbling with the cable to do it.
Right.
And like just getting something on your head when you're wearing the device itself is really shitty.
Yeah.
When you've got something that uses a magnet and slots it in immediately, that can be done like on the fly.
Yeah, so you can have it on your head and it'll just, it's very easy.
It's weighty too, right? The battery?
It's got enough weight.
Sure.
It's not like it's not the heaviest thing in the world, but it's got enough weight.
But if you threw it at someone, like to shut them up or like to make a point or something like that, like it would make the point, right? Right?
What are you doing?
I'm just trying to cover all the bases.
Okay.
All right. I started and finished Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 8.
So this represents you finishing all of the VR-ifiable Resident Evil games.
Yes, except for 7. I haven't done 7 yet. I might do that next.
Yeah. Okay. Not 7.
Not 7. Haven't done 7.
You sent me a little bit of video of RE8.
Did.
It looked really good.
Yes, it was very fun. Preydog's Resident Evil 8 mod now has an upscaler built in. I don't know how the upscaling works, but it's doubled my frame rate from the last time I played it. So that was enough for me to go back and start the game all over again.
So it's upscaling it and improving the frame rate.
Yeah, I guess whatever I don't fucking know how it is.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's like running the game at a lower resolution, but making it look like it's at a higher resolution. It's not. It's not DLSS and it's not FSR. It's
magic.
It's magic.
Cool.
But yeah, so it was fantastic.
But you said to me that this looked like game trailer gameplay.
Oh, totally. Like the external environments, I think they use like a lot of like photo scans or something like that. Like the environments look beautiful.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun.
Well, out of the whole series you've played so far, where do you rank? What's your favorite game? What's the worst game?
Well, I think I had the most fun with Resident Evil 3 because it's an action-based game and it feels almost like it's schlocky, but it doesn't feel... I've heard this as a criticism. It doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game. It's almost paced like a Call of Duty campaign or something like that. There's lots of explosions and like weird shit.
Flamethrowers and stuff.
Exactly. And so that was like a short experience that was full of action and like I had all the VR interactions that I needed and it was done within a couple of days. That felt like an awesome VR game.
Yeah, grouse.
But Resident Evil 8... honestly, had a dedicated VR mode. So they've made this with VR in mind, and it feels almost as good, I guess. But I don't know. Resident Evil 3, which was a third-person game, somehow feels better to me. I just had a better experience with it.
Well, is that everything you've done in VR?
I hope so.
Yeah, that's everything I've done in VR. Hey, if anyone wants to reach out to us, what can they do?
Oh, they go for email us at gamesvrealitypod@gmail.com.
Yeah, very good. Or just leave a comment in the YouTube video because
totally.
I put these up on Spotify and Amazon and all of those podcast places.
Things.
But also YouTube and YouTube Music, so you can leave a comment.
Tell us when we are wrong, please.
So tell us when he is wrong.
Or him, or neither of us. Just tell us something. And tell your friends that this is a podcast that exists.
Yeah, that's the best way to help out. Share this podcast.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. You got anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Let's end it. Goodbye.
Bye.